Hello there, Aquarius. Thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly in-depth tarot forecast. This forecast is for the month of November, and I am breaking that month down into 4 different time segments. The first three segments are all a week long exactly, and then the last segment will be 9 days. So we're going to start with November the 1st through the 7th for you Aquarius. And let's just look and see what kind of information we have coming in about the energy during that time frame. Excuse me. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, Aquarius, we have your cards down. Let me wet my whistle here. All right, y'all, let's see what comes up for your environment during this time frame. Environment is anywhere where you have energy or effort invested. Usually it comes up as home. Sometimes people tell me, oh, that's school or that's work. Every once in a while, it'll just be your own personal environment, your own aura, your own body. But so you want to be kind of open about where this environment is that I'm seeing. It looks to me like you are having some kind of inspired thoughts or thinking about the idea of how you can decrease your responsibility in your environments and in your environment. And you want to do this in a way that's fair and balanced, in a way that feels very intuitively right to you. So you're looking for ways to decrease the responsibilities around your environment right now. Next thing we're looking at talks to me about your subconscious leanings. It looks to me like you have some kind of toxic situation in your life here, Aquarius, and this may be something that you're having some trouble with obsessing about, or maybe an addiction, or it may be a toxic relationship. There's something going on here where I think it looks to me like your friends have really talked to you about this situation, and they want you to cut this toxicity out of your life, whatever shape that it's taking. And I think what's going on here is subconsciously you're really the things that they have said, and you're considering you know, how would that work and what would that look like even if you did, and are they even right to ask you, etc., etc. But you're just really mulling over that whole situation. Okay, the next thing that we have coming up talks to me about your learning style and also your communication style during this time frame. It's interesting. The first thing that comes up to me is that there may be, I'm not sure which direction this is going. Usually I know. Is this someone coming to them or them? I think you're going to be going to somebody else and sort of making peace with them because you know that they have information that you'd like to have. Yeah, that's all I need to say about that. There are some other things that you are learning about. Those things make you feel very inspired and happy, and I think that you are learning a lot during this time frame. And then I think there are also some other things besides these two that come up that you would like to learn, but I think time is really a challenge here for you as far as having the time to sit down and look at these things and study them and learn more about them. Communication style during this time frame. For between you and somebody else, these are going to be emotional communications that come up. A lot of communications that have to do with emotion. There may be a lot of the old I love yous coming around here. Could be very affectionate type of communication. It kind of feels like that to me. It also feels like a lot of just little short messages, not like necessarily conversations, but little short messages about emotion. What else do we have here? I do think that your communication is pretty solid during this time frame. For most of the people who you are around, they know exactly what to expect from you and why. I don't think that you're wavering on any of the communication that you're doing. You're not giving anybody any kind of reason to expect you to change your mind or to bend the rules type of thing. I do think there's going to be at least one day where you feel like there's so much communication going on, it makes you feel a little bit out of balance, like there's so much that needs to be communicated and not really enough time to be able to do that in the way that you normally would. Okay. Next, we're looking at work for you, Aquarius. What do we have? What do we have? Those of you who do work driving or travel for work, I don't see a lot of that happening during this time frame. So you may be more hanging out at one place or being more stationary during this week. I think that you're not really very happy about what's going on at work. I also don't feel like you're throwing a fit about it. I think you understand why things are the way they are, but still it makes you unhappy. And I think I kind of get the impression that while you've got extra time on your hands, you are doing a lot more research and digging, looking for information. And this can be looking for information about working someplace else or working, finding a way to upgrade your work so that you have more income coming in. Can be very directly related to a workplace situation. Next thing that I'm looking at is inner work. Right now, your inner work is all about finding that silver lining, looking for the positive, even when it may be a little bit hard to do. Might not just jump right out at you. You might have to look a little harder. Okay? That's your inner work. That part of your personality which is being grown or expanded right now. I think that there's somebody that you've been missing. And I think that missing them is over. Now there's two ways that this can play out. Missing them can be over because they said something really ridiculous and now you're just not happy about them at all. Missing them can also be because somebody else is coming around and sort of taking up that place that they used to have. And then missing them could be ending because you're actually speaking with them again. So we've got three different potential outcomes here. The way these cards are up. I really feel like you've got two outcomes that are happening about 50-50. So some of you will have half of you will have one way and half of you will have the other. For some of you, it's about this person coming back and having communication with them. But for others of you, it's about a new person coming in to communicate with you. And I do feel like they rush in to communicate with you. So this may be something that you wouldn't really expect. Just all of a sudden you find yourself having some delightful conversations with somebody new. So that's where you're growing and expanding. Things that you stand for. I feel like you were feeling really defeated with some type of interactions that you were having with somebody else, whether this was a full-blown intimate relationship or whether this was some other type of relationship or interactions that you were having. And you decided that, it was better to do something different so that you would not feel so defeated by this situation. So you started to turn the ship around, started to focus on other things. And I think somebody is talking to you about this and asking you about it, and so you're explaining or defending that position. How this other person sees you is they see you as somebody who really is looking at what are long-term effects of my life? How am I impacting those people around me? And they're also seeing you as somebody who is, even as you're thinking about this, you're kind of keeping the boundaries up between yourself and other people, even though you definitely have love for other people. Okay, so that's what we have showing up for that. Next, what we're going to look at is what's going on during your flex time, Aquarius. Now this is the time when things start to change direction and form up a little bit differently for you than what they did before during this time frame. So let's take a peek. I think you're done waiting to take care of yourself. I think you may have been waiting for somebody else to take care of you or pamper you, and now you're kind of done with that. You're taking care of or pampering yourself now, and I gotta tell you, it feels really good. It feels liberating and it feels inspiring. Woot woot. What else is going on as Aquarians are taking care of themselves? What is happening here? It's interesting because what I think is going on is that there's a situation with somebody who had some type of authority in your life, Aquarius. Maybe they even still do. But I feel like they're trying to take the driver's wheel in your life too much. And it's just not working out for you. And I think at the point that you realize that that's not working for you is when you start to see some improvements in your own life, because you start taking that driver's wheel back and you start steering where you're going and what you're doing. And so you start to actually see literally profit in your life when you start to do that, instead of letting somebody else take control of your situations. What else is going on? What else is going on? There is definitely something that you are bringing about that is, you want something much more fair in your life, something much more reciprocal in your life. And you are manifesting that. And part of the way that you're manifesting that is that you know that what you have right now is not fair and reciprocal. And I think you're cutting ties with what's not fair and reciprocal so that you can manifest what is. Very empowered. Very empowered. Next, we're going to look at where you are at the end of this particular time frame. So what do we have? What do we have? What do we have? Ugh, okay. It looks to me like you are sort of picking up the pieces in a situation, like where things have sort of fallen apart. You're sort of picking up the pieces, regrouping, figuring out where you want to go from here. As you're doing that, there's somebody who shows up from the past. And somebody that, honestly, I don't see that you have a lot of really great memories with this person, but I do see you going back to them. I'm not quite sure what the motivation would be there. Why are you going back to them? Let's see what we can see, Aquarius. Why are you going back to somebody you don't really have a lot of good memories with? Wow, this is incredibly toxic. There's a lot of confusion around this situation, and I think that the confusion is what has you going back. There's a lot of emotions here too. And you are... I think that a lot of the reason you're coming back is because of money, because of finances, because you're afraid, what are you going to do without this person's support or help financially? For those of you that it's not financially, it could be emotionally as well. But I think this is more to do with finances as why you're going back. I don't think you particularly enjoy this person, but I see you going back almost because you feel like maybe you can't provide for yourself financially, or maybe not provide as well as you would like, and so you're going back. That makes me sad for you, Aquarius. All right. I am going to wrap this up, take a break, come back, and we'll look at your next time frame, see what's going on there, see if we have anything that is good and lovely and improving. We like good and lovely and improving. All right, so I'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you for being here. Welcome back, Aquarius. Next, we're going to look at your week for November 8th through the 14th. See what comes up this time around. How is that energy flowing through your month? What are you doing? Of course, you know that you have free will, so just because I see something in the cards doesn't mean it has to happen. You can do things differently and have things turn out differently for yourself. That's kind of the point of getting a reading ahead of time, is to be able to do that. And this is a general reading, so it's not going to apply to all the Aquariuses that watch, but it will apply to, most of it will apply to most of you. La da 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 da. If you find that you don't resonate with this at all, then you may want to check your rising sign or your moon sign as well. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. Alrighty, so we are looking at your environment to start with. What do we have going on here? It looks like you may be actually changing up your environment right now. It looks like you may be moving. Maybe you're going to work in a different place, or maybe you're making your home in a different place, or maybe you're just traveling at this point. But it does look like there's some kind of release that allows you to make this movement or make this travel. And I think that you are, you've got this sort of planned out, like you know what this travel is going to look like for you, and you're feeling really good about it. I think it's a very positive thing that's actually coming up here. Next thing that we're looking at for you, Aquarius, talks to me about your subconscious leanings. Yep, there we have that release idea coming up once again. Yeah, okay, so it looks like there was some kind of situation where you felt like you were paralyzed and like you couldn't move forward, and you found some way to release yourself from that paralysis, and really kind of self-induced, because it has to do with our perspective. Whenever we're thinking about something and looking at a situation, we feel paralyzed, but we're not really. We're just not taking action because we're not seeing the opportunities here. So I see a release from that. You are taking action. You are seeing the opportunities. You're no longer restricting yourself in some type of situation. And I think you're picking up the pieces from when you were restricting yourself and what that has caused, and you're moving forward in a very positive way. At least that's what's going on in your subconscious. You're working out how to actually make this happen. Whoop, whoop. Alrighty, my Aquarians. Next thing we're looking at talks to me about your learning style and also your communication style. The first thing that really hits me is that you are learning some things about something that has had a toxic influence on your life, whether it's a person, an obsession, an addiction, whatever it is. There's something that's had a toxic influence, and I think what you're really seeing during this time frame is just how much of your life that influence has impacted or affected. I do think also, as you are learning that, you are learning quite a few other things as well, and it feels like these things are very freeing things, things that enable you to have the strength to look at how this has had such a negative impact on so many aspects of your life. And I think that what you are learning here allows you to know that there are options, there are other ways to handle things, there are other ways to do things that would potentially work out much better for you. And I think you're also really focusing on finding peace in your life, and you're learning different ways to do that, even if those ways are just temporary for now. Even if those ways are just, to meditate for a few minutes and have peace for those few minutes, even if the rest of life seems kind of chaotic at the moment. But for others of you, I think you're further along on that continuum, and you're looking at lifestyle changes that will just make your life more peaceful in general, and learning about that. Now, communication style during this time frame. It looks to me like there is somebody you feel obligated to communicate with, and so you are. But I do think that a lot of the communication that's going back and forth could be considered to be pretty dark, and this is a situation that is making you really actually angry, although I feel like you're kind of trying to hide that from the other person. Also for communication style right now. Aw, once again, we have all those little messages of emotion, of caring. These are those little I love yous as you pass somebody down the hall, or you know, at home, or whatever, you know, little love notes and all those types of things. So I see this coming up again. You guys had this last time in your communication style too, so this seems to be pretty consistent over these 2 weeks. That's really nice. And then you have some other people in your life that you're communicating with, that the communication is kind of off and on. I don't feel like there's any bad feelings or anything like that, but just sometimes you're communicating, sometimes you're not. So they're kind of in and out as far as communication for you in your life right now. Next thing we're looking at for you, Aquarius, is work. Ooh, what do we have here? Wow. Okay, Aquarius, work is going to be big this week. Okay, we've got some big energy here. In fact, you've got 3 major arcana showing up out of 3 cards for work. Okay, there is some truth coming out at work, around work, about work. There's some truth coming out having to do with work. This truth is helping you to understand why things are not getting back to the way they used to be at work. They just aren't. And I think that the news that things are not getting back to the way they used to be is a little bit devastating for you. And I think that this is going to cause you to start to seriously look for work in a different place. For a lot of you, in a completely different field. Okay? So that's outer work. Next we're going to look at inner work, which is what we do to make us happier with who we are, with our own character and our own personality. It looks to me like the inner work has really been sort of kicked off by the outer work, which is many times the case. But we're being forced to look here, Aquarius, you're being forced to look at yourself really hard and what you want from a working relationship really hard. Working relationship, what I mean is employer-employee type of relationship, or you know, you can be the employee, you can be the employer. We can also be looking at what kind of working relationship do we want with a work partner, a business partner, an investment partner. So I think you're really looking at, okay, what is it that I want out of this work situation, and what is it that I'm willing to bring to the table in a work situation. I think you are coming to an understanding that there are things that you have done before that you don't wish to continue. By the way, I do have my windows open. It's warm here today. It's like 81 degrees. So I have my windows open, enjoying that breeze. So that was not like a little ghost truffle that just happened behind me with my wall hanging. That was actually just a regular tangible breeze. Okay? So anyway, you're realizing that there are things in work that you don't want to do anymore. And I think that you are now making some changes so that, since you've got changes going on at work anyway, now you're making some changes so that you can come into a more ideal situation when it comes to work for you. Okay? So that's that. Let's look at that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded during this particular time frame. It looks to me like your focus is actually being shifted from money, 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 honey, 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 money, 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 money all the time, to loosening up that focus and starting to focus on things that make you happy as the higher priority. Not saying that you're not going to be focused on making money and bringing income in, but saying that rather than focusing on money and money only, now you're also focusing on happiness. So the difference is, when we're focused on money and money only, if we have a really wonderful paying job, but we hate that work because we're focused on the money, we'll keep that job because we like the pay. But if we're not focused on money, if we're more focused on happiness, if we have a job that we hate, no matter how good it pays, we're out of there. Gone. See ya. Bye-bye. 86 in that job. And we go for a job that actually makes us feel more happy, more satisfied, more fulfilled, more like what we're doing is actually meaningful. All right? And that's what I see happening with your focus here. You're shifting your focus from this idea of focusing on money, money, money all the time, and then things are loosening up. And I see this as being sort of a gradual thing. Gradual being such a relative word. Gradual within this time frame from the 8th to the 14th. I think you start out on the 8th very unhappy with money, very much focused on money. You go through in the middle of the week, I think things are starting to ease up, and by the time you get to the end of the week, what you're focusing on is happiness, fulfillment, satisfaction, those things. Okay? So, next thing we're looking at are those things that you stand for during this time frame, and then how the other person sees you. So, what are you standing for? What are you having to explain or defend during this time frame? There's been somebody in your life who has tried to make all the decisions for you. And I feel like there was some resentment there. There were some issues there. But you were able to let go of it and able to forgive that person. And as you were able to let go and forgive that person, then you found yourself much more able to manifest the things that you want in your life. And so you're explaining this to someone. And how they're feeling about you. This may even be the person that you had to forgive. They're seeing you as somebody who, they're not on the same page with you. They really don't understand, and they're just not on the same page with you on this. They feel like things just aren't working out. And yet, here you are in this position where you have plenty of everything that you need and plenty of everything that you want. And so I think they're really confused about that. They're definitely thinking about it. Very confused about it, I think. La da 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 da. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about your flex period. This is that point where things start to shape up or go in a different direction during this time frame. And what do we have going on here? So, Aquarius. What I'm seeing is that there's somebody that you've been trying to convey some type of idea or information to, and it feels to me like you've been trying to convey this for so long. You're practically blue in the face from spending all your air on them. And what's going on now is that you're trying to evaluate, should I even continue trying to get through to this person? And you're deciding that yes, it's worth it, and so you're continuing forward with that. Let's see what else is happening at the same time. You've got somebody who has been disloyal to you, that you're giving a second chance to collaborate with you again, or to work together with you again, or to get back together with you again, whatever that is. You're giving them this. And this is a gift. I mean, this is not something that you're giving to them lightly. This took some energy and effort for you to be able to offer this to them. And they are passing up on that offer. They would rather not come into collaboration with you again. What else is happening at this time? Oh, ho, ho, ho. It's actually lucky for you that they're not coming into collaboration with you. This may be hard to see right now. Usually this type of thing is hard to see right now. Looks to me like you're having a fight with this person actually. This person that you're trying to give some kind of second chance or gift to. There's some kind of fight that you're literally having with them. And this fight, I think, shows the truth. It brings out the truth about something in a way that you can't deny or you can't sweep under the rug anymore. And it actually, once you have this fight, I think that really just relieves so much stress from your life. and it actually helps things to move forward for you. You know, we have this kind of as a recurring theme for you so far, Aquarius, especially this week, but even in last week, about this idea of letting something toxic or letting something old go, and then things start to move faster for you. You start to manifest better. This is basically the same theme showing up again. What else do we have? Where are you ending the week, Aquarius? What are you doing? You're so confused. I think there's a lot of communication between yourself and somebody else. And I think that this is somebody that you had separated from because the situation before was not reciprocal. And now you're going back into that situation with that person again. That's where we see you at the end of this time frame. Isn't that almost exactly where we saw you at the end of the last time frame? Okay, Aquarius, let me go ahead and wrap this up, take a break, and I'll come back and 3. Thank you for being here. Welcome back, Aquarius. This time we're going to be looking at November 15th through the 21st. See what kind of energies we have moving through your environment, through your space, through your aura at this time. Let's find out. Alrighty, so Aquarius, we have cards on the table. Let's take a peek at your environment to start with. Okay, so this looks like a kind of a tumultuous time frame whenever it comes to your environment. It looks like there's been some kind of decision that has been made having to do with something in your environment or someone in your environment that was not made in a fair way. It was made in a corrupt way. Maybe the person didn't have all the information that they needed. Maybe they had a foreseen outcome that they wanted no matter what information came through. However this plays out, it's a decision that's not really made in a fair way. And I think that you are, as a result of this decision, you are no longer needing to fulfill any obligations whenever it comes to this environment. And then at the end of this time frame, we see all that switching back around, and we see everything going back to the way it was before this decision was made. So a pretty tumultuous time in the environment is what I'm looking at right there, Aquarius. Let's look at your subconscious leanings and see what we have coming up for that. So it looks to me like you're thinking about who your friends are, and you're thinking about really, I think you're considering that there are some friends or people that call themselves friends around you that you don't feel like they're really all that supportive or necessarily so much friendly. And I think as your subconscious is processing that, just being able to identify what friends are true friends and what friends are kind of fair weather friends helps you to figure out who you can really rely on. And I think that's actually going to come in very handy for you in the near future, just knowing who you can and who you can't rely on. And that's your subconscious, what your subconscious is chewing on. Let's look at your learning style and your communication style during this time frame. So for learning style, I do feel like you are definitely picking up a whole lot of new information, and it's coming at you in a very clear, plain way. There's nothing confusing about this, and you're taking that information and you're able to move forward with it pretty easily. I feel like you are also learning about some things that make you feel really good, something that you have emotion involved with, something that you feel very strongly about, and you're learning more about these topics right now. And then there's something that you really would like to know more about, but once again, I feel this idea of sort of so much on your plate that you don't have time to really investigate it like you would like to. Doing a little too much tap dance and trying to get everything else covered. Looking at your communication style, it's interesting. We kind of have this idea of some communication, then quiet, then some communication with particular people in your life. I do think that whatever you're communicating with them, you're definitely making sure that they understand certain things or that they know certain things about you. These things that are not shakable, there's no doubt about those. Even if you guys aren't communicating, they know certain things about you, whether that's, that you'll be there for them no matter what or whatever it is. You're very clear in your communication so that there's no doubt. Even if you guys haven't talked for a few days, they still know that whatever you said goes. Okay. I do feel like there's a lot of communication that is going on over the airwaves. So telephone communication, internet communication, that type of thing. Video chats, things like this are showing up here. And then I also get the sense that there is some type of communication that I think whenever you first get into communication with this person, you feel like there are some good things coming out of this, there's some truth coming out of this. And then the deeper you get into communication with this person, you start to realize that maybe not so much. And so I feel like you're trying to avoid communicating with that person as you move forward through this time frame after you kind of get their number, so to speak. La da da da. Next thing we're looking at is work, Aquarius. Work, 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 work. All right, I do feel like you're really enjoying your work. However, once again, we have this idea that there's not a lot of motion happening for work. There's not a lot of traveling happening for work. So, with communication, we saw a lot of that video chat, internet communication, telephone communication. You may be doing a lot of your work very much remotely because I just don't see very much travel involved with it right now. And I think that not only are you enjoying it in spite of that, I think this is actually giving you new ideas about how you can grow and develop your business. Or grow and develop your income if you don't have a business. All right, so let's look at inner work. I feel like inner work has to do with the sense that you're feeling a little bit imbalanced during this time frame. And because you're feeling a little bit off, I think you're taking some time to really look out for you and pamper yourself, so to speak. Okay, that's your inner work. Next up, Aquarius. Let's look at that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded right now. It's interesting. I feel like you guys passing along information or advice to other people is actually bringing you in some kind of paycheck or payday. Definitely some type of reward or benefits. The thing is, I feel like whatever this reward or benefits is, I think it's a one-time thing. You know what I mean? Like it's not... This isn't like you're selling a monthly subscription to give advice. This isn't like you have a monthly column in the newspaper, Dear Abby. This is a one-time deal. So this could be that you're doing some kind of coaching. This could be that you're giving people advice in another way. Real estate agents give advice. Car salespeople give advice. There's a lot of people that give advice as a part of their everyday job because they are trained to be the experts in certain areas. And so I think that we have a situation where you're giving advice or information, and because you're doing that, and I feel like you're doing that generously with a full heart, you are getting a payday out of that. But like I said, I feel like it's a one-time payday. I don't think it's a recurring thing. Okay. And you may be getting multiples of those, especially because of the position where that is in the spread, having to do with where your personality is growing or expanding. That may be happening multiple times, even though it's a one-time hit each time. This could be a one-time payday from several different people for you giving advice to each one of those several different people. That could be as well. La da da da. Next, we're looking at those things that you stand for. So this is something that you and somebody else will be having a discussion about during that time frame, and you will be explaining yourself or defending yourself around this situation. It looks to me like you have been very careful to make sure that your budget is going to do everything that you want it to do. And you are in a good position right now where you have plenty and you're not really worried. You're comfortable. And there's something that you're going back to. There's some kind of negative thing from the past, something that held you back or kept you from moving forward, that we see you going back to after you've gone through all this trouble and all this work to get yourself up to this particular level, at least financially, maybe even health-wise. But for most of you, I think it's financially. So somebody wants to know, hey, why are you changing things up when you've got a system that works right now? Why are you going back to an old thing? And so you're having that conversation with them about the whys and wherefores. And so afterwards, how they see you is as somebody who is really trying to keep a balance. But it looks like you're trying to keep a balance in spite of the fact that you have somebody in your sphere of influence who is from your past that you don't really have particularly good memories with, for the most part. And there's also a situation where you are trying to come out of a contract or out of an agreement, and you're just trying to keep a balance in between to make sure that you're doing the right thing on both of these. You're basically trying to follow your intuition to make sure you're doing the right thing on both of these. And so this person is seeing that you're leaning heavily on your intuition here, and that you've got a couple of big things happening in your life after you guys have this conversation about all the trouble you've gone to get yourself in a good position, and now you're going back to something that had a more negative influence on you in the past. All right. Let's look next at what happens during your flex point during this time frame. This is bothering me. I think it's too dark. There we go. All right. So during the flex point, during this time frame, this is where things start to shape up in a little bit of a different way for you. Hopefully. I think we got similar things for your first two time frames before. Let's see what happens here. There is some kind of truth that's showing up, or some kind of new clarity for you that's showing up around work, and I think it's not making you very happy at this moment. What else is going on at the same time though? By the way, guys, if you want a private reading where I can look at just only your energies, feel free to contact me with the website listed at the bottom of the screen. I love to do private readings. All right, what's going on at the same time? You are making a decision, and you're making a decision about there's something that you've been taking a break from, and you're making a decision about whether it's time to come out from that break or not, or is it time to maintain security, home life and security, happy, peaceful home life and security. So you can go back to whatever you were taking a break from, or you can maintain peaceful home life and security. That's the decision you're making. And this is happening at the same time that there's a truth coming out at work that's not making you very happy. What else do we have going at the same time? You have somebody who has a toxic influence on your life, who is trying to come across as sweet and charming and trying to win you over, basically. And I feel like what happens is, even as they're trying to win you over, you really have the sense of what's coming next, even before it comes down the pike. And so even as they're trying to win you over, you're already feeling like you've been left out in the cold to start with. So I think we don't really have to worry about that person that's been a bad influence, because I think you know exactly what their story is, at least once we get to this time frame. Next thing, where do we see you at the end of this week? I think that you are manifesting good relationships all around you, but I feel like maybe whoever you were in a romantic relationship with, if there is somebody like that, I feel like there's somebody that is close to you, that they've shown you their true colors and you've taken them off of a pedestal. But I feel like whatever relationship that is, that's just one of the relationships around you. I feel like you have a lot of other good relationships around you. So a lot of times whenever readers say relationships, then the audience goes romantic relationships. They just add in that little word romantic as if it belongs there. That's not what I'm saying. Okay? So if I'm telling you that you have a relationship that's possibly romantic, that doesn't mean it definitely is. It could be, might not be. The bear, you're taking somebody off a pedestal because you're seeing their true colors. But you have lots of other relationships around you that are supportive and healthy and encouraging. Doesn't mean you've got 50,000 boyfriends or girlfriends. It means you have a lot of supportive, healthy relationships around you, a lot of good relationships around you, romantic or otherwise. We could be talking about family, friends, network, business colleagues. Could be all of the above. Okay? So don't get confused on that. All right? So anyway, yeah, you've got a lot of great relationships, supportive, encouraging, healthy relationships around you. You just have one person that's showing you their true colors, and aren't you glad they are? Because always better to see that earlier than later. So that's where you are at the end of this particular week. Let's take a break. We'll come back, and then we'll look at the last 9 days of November when I come back. Thanks for being here, guys. Hello there, Aquarians. Welcome back. We are looking at November 22nd through the 30th for this particular time frame, just to see what kind of energies we have showing up for you guys. See what's flowing through, what kind of influences you have coming in. The beauty about getting a reading ahead of time is that you can always use it as a heads up if you see something that you don't like showing up. And you can change some things so that you don't have the outcome that shows up on my table. Whoop, whoop. Also, of course, this is a general reading. That means it's not going to fit every single Aquarius, but it should fit most of you, most of the time. If you find that it's not resonating, you may want to check your rising sign or your moon sign. Sometimes they will resonate more than your sun sign. For those of you who are cross-watchers and are here, you are welcome to be here. However, I will give you one word of caution. This channel is not like some of the other channels around, and energies are not reversible. I am looking at Aquarius. I am doing Aquarius's reading. What I'm seeing has to do with Aquarius, not you, even if you're dating an Aquarius. Okay? If you're an Aquarius, this reading is very likely about you. If you're not, you're welcome to watch if you want some insights into the Aquarians in your life, but please don't think that it's for you. It's not. All right, I think I've made my point there. Let's look at your environment for the 22nd through the 30th, Aquarians. It does look like you have a new epiphany, a new understanding about something going on in your environment. And it does look like there's some kind of partnership that is broken. Now, when we have a partnership that's broken around environment, that could be that maybe the lease ran out at the office that you work at. And so now there's a new lease, a new office, all that good stuff. You may be moving. There could be a contract with the employer, especially if you're a contract worker. Could have run out. Now you have to get a new contract, or you have to see who else would want your services. If this is home, this could be the contract ran out on the lease on your home. Could be the warranty expired on the washer and the dryer in your home. But there's some kind of contract that is no longer in effect. Some kind of contract or agreement that is no longer in effect whenever it comes to your environment. And I think that this may be information that sort of comes to you out of the blue. It feels to me like there's some kind of maybe problem is too strong of a word. There's some kind of concern that comes up, and as you're making phone calls about getting this taken care of, then you realize that there's no warranty or whatever it is that's going on here. And so we see you doing what you need to do to pick up the pieces. And as you're doing that, you have this new epiphany, this new understanding of things, and I think a really good idea about how to improve things moving forward so you don't find yourself in the same situation again in the future, okay? And that's your environment. And once again, environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. So next thing that we're looking at talks to me about subconscious leanings for you Aquarians. So Aquarians, it looks like you guys have a choice in front of you, and it's a choice about several different things that you would like to participate in or like to do or like to become involved with. And there's real confusion here for you on being able to make this decision. And so I think that's why you've got this in your subconscious, working on it there, trying to figure out what is the choice that you're actually going to make between the things that you care about there. What is going to take priority for you? Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about learning style and also communication style, Aquarius. I do feel like you are learning a whole lot about how to make things grow. That's all I'm going to say there. You're learning a whole lot about how to make things grow. You're also learning about money, finances. Maybe even you're learning how to balance your budget for some of you. But for others of you, this could be learning about how to make sure you're set up for retirement. And you are learning about this idea of saving some money back, keeping a stash back for emergencies. Now, as far as communication style, seems like your learning is really all focused on one topic there pretty much. Communication style. I think that the communication that you're having right now, you're really focusing on the good things as you talk to people so that they can see the positive aspects of things going on in your world and in their world. I do feel, Aquarians, like there's somebody that you feel like you have communicated with enough. They seem to feel like you need to communicate with them more. So basically you're giving them the minimum communication that you can to get by. And I feel like you may actually be spending some time sort of away from your normal culture, your normal scenery, your normal society, and kind of taking some time to just be, I don't know if I want to say by yourself, but definitely in a more secluded setting. La da 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 da. Next we're looking at work. Looks like you're doing something that you're very familiar with. You've done it before whenever it comes to work. I think that you are working with somebody who is less than honest. So even though you enjoy your work, the person that you're working with or the person that you're working for has you a little bit aggravated or frustrated. But I think that's really kind of the only fly in the ointment here. Interesting. Interesting. I've gotten a really strong impression. Some of you were just talking about like floral arranging. Maybe you're going back and doing a side gig of floral arranging. Obviously that can't apply to every single Aquarian. Can you imagine how many floral arrangers we would have if it did? But it comes in strong enough that I feel like I have to mention it. Somebody needed to have that verification. Let's see about inner work. I think your inner work is to be realistic as you're looking at things during this time, and not to be careful not to wear rose-colored glasses as you're looking at situations. Not to project what you want to see onto what is really happening, but to really see what's really happening is your inner work during this time frame. That part of your personality which is being grown or expanded right now. You have a decision to make. Once again, I think you had that earlier in the same spot too. And this decision has to do with the idea of you could blow the budget if you want to. So you can blow the budget a couple of ways. You can do that by not doing what it takes to bring the money in, or you could do some impulse spending or buy some bigger things than what you had actually planned. Or your other choice is to live within your means and give yourself some breathing space on the budget. And so that is where you're growing right now, is in learning how to make those decisions so that they best benefit you at the moment. All right, Aquarius. La da 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 da. Things that you stand for. So this is going to be something that somebody brings up to you, they discuss with you, maybe they even confront you about, and then we're going to look at how that person sees you after you have this conversation or confrontation. Okay, so basically I feel like what's coming up is you're feeling very dissatisfied about your work right now. You're feeling like it doesn't bring in enough as far as money, that it should bring in more. It's not paying enough. And it's making you feel like you don't know what to do to fix this situation right now. Okay? And so somebody's said something to you about this, or they're confronting you about this, and how they feel about you after they have that communication with you is that it seems to them that you are moving away from things that have a negative impact on you, and you are coming into a situation where you're stronger and getting stronger and continuing to strengthen not only your self-confidence but also even in your finances. But they see you as being really frustrated. They see you as, I'm really getting the strong impression that they're seeing you as something that, like, you just can't catch a break. Like, you think you're getting close to what you want, and then something happens and it just goes wrong. So they're seeing you as, you know, this kind of tragic personality right now, like so close and yet so far from reaching your goal. All right, Aquarius. Next thing that we're looking at here talks to me about your flex time. This is what is happening as things start to change direction a little bit for you during this time frame. So there is something coming up that you are really having strong feelings for, and it's interesting because it looks like these feelings are old feelings that are coming back, and at the same time that you're having these positive feelings towards this person or this activity or this thing, it's also making you really unhappy. I think it's making you feel like, oh no, if I still have feelings for this, how is that going to impact the rest of my sphere of influence? How is that going to impact the rest of my world, the things that I interact with every day? Yep. Okay, so it looks like you're feeling a little bit out of control. There is something going on where things are being really shook up, and that is actually impacting your family life, the sense of security here. And I think it's all tied in with these old feelings that are coming back. So what's going on is you're really trying to get your balance. You're just trying to balance. You're trying to basically, I think what's going on is you're actually trying to avoid these old feelings because you want to have the peace and the calmness. You want to have the happy home life. And it's like, even as you avoid those, it's really hard. I think it's really hard for you. It's a big challenge to be able to avoid those, because to me it looks like even though you're trying to avoid this because you want your home life good, I think that you're also feeling a little bit like, but, well, I think I'm missing out if I avoid this. I'm missing out on something. So that makes it a real challenge to try to avoid those feelings or the cause of those feelings. La da da da. I don't think it's an addiction or obsession. I didn't have a card that would indicate that come up. Where we see you at the end of this time frame, or the end of this month, I guess I should say, because we're on the last time frame. I'm feeling like you're really super confused at this point. Super, super confused. You have things coming up from your subconscious that you were not expecting. And at this point, I am seeing some toxicness. I feel like you've got some toxicity coming out of your subconscious. Stuff that you thought you had healed up or taken care of before is showing up now. And I think it has you super confused. You're having cravings, you're having feelings that you weren't expecting to have. And I think that you're feeling trapped by this, and I think you're feeling really confused by this. So obviously, when we have something like this show up, this is something that you have dealt with before. It's something that you had thought you had healed before. So it shouldn't be that hard for you guys to be able to look at this and go, oh, I know what she's talking about in this video. I better make some plans so that I know that I don't get myself in a position where I have to fight this fight again, because I've already fought this fight. All right, so you want to sort of insulate yourself from that type of temptation or that type of craving. You want to do the things that you know you need to do to keep yourself in a healthy position away from those. That way, I mean, I really don't want to see you guys going through this total, complete confusion as you're dealing with things coming up from your subconscious. Get yourself a plan. Get yourself a plan how to safeguard yourself. That's what's going to help you there. Okay? So that's the end of the month, Aquarius. Let me go ahead and wrap this up, and I'll get it out to you here. Probably tomorrow afternoon, but I'll start editing it now. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for the thumbs ups and for sharing this video with others that may find it beneficial. On top of that, thank you to those of you who are ordering private readings and private Reiki sessions. I do appreciate all of you guys' support. Also, oh, I almost forgot. Also, those of you who are entering my live super chats, thank you for that as well. Everybody have a fantastic, wonderful, thrilling, peaceful, joyful month. And if I don't see you here for a private between now and then I'll see you back on the next video. Peace out.